This is something that's been barreling down the road for a while now. Everybody, the worst kept secret in the NBA was that he was going to land on the Lakers. They strong-armed this into happening. How do you feel about Bronny and LeBron teaming up with the Lakers?
Well, first of all, I want to say congratulations to the James family. All jokes aside, you know, they're still parents at the end of the day, and you want to see your kids succeed, you know, in any way, shape, or form that they can, and however that happens. Also, shout out to Bronny's suit. Can we roll this video while I talk about it? The fashionista in me, all eyes were on this suit. First of all, the color is fantastic. I'm a big fan of brown as of late, but look at the brooch. Can we talk about the brooch? This is regal. This is I am royalty, basketball
like
royalty. It is phenomenal. The suit is great. The braids, the cornrows to the back are clean, sharp. Looks like he just got those done that day. The jewelry is just the right amount. Everyone's arguing about nepotism and all that, which I know we'll get into. We got to focus on the suit game. The brooch alone took it over the edge. So, Bronny, if you're going to get drafted, that's the way to do it. Listen, not a surprise. I think we were all kind of watching, not because we were, you know, expecting it not to happen. I think we were watching more so along the lines, hoping something more chaotic would happen. John, like you said, the Celtics take them, or my Knicks took them, or something that wasn't expected happened. But as, you know, the reports that were coming out throughout the broadcast, the James family, or Rich Paul specifically, made it very, very clear to teams around the league, if you take him, he is going to Australia. Took a page out of the Archie Manning playbook, if you will, said, if you take Eli, he's not going to play for you. He's only playing for one team. So, Bill, obviously you can speak to this more, but I thought the Australia thing was a little crazy. It was kind of insane, but Stephen A. Smith, I think, pointed out, like, why is this is the first time we're hearing about it? Maybe that, but I think we all knew that Rich Paul was going to make sure that only the Lakers got their hands on Bronny James. Now, how that happened is different, but we all knew that that was going to be the case.
John used the right term. It's such a strong arm move, and look, maybe I'm being Pollyannish. Let me just interpret, though, what Rich Paul was actually saying, because the threat isn't just he's going to go to Australia, and if you draft him, Boston Celtics as a spite move, you'll lose Bronny. Yeah. It's also an implicit threat that you will get sideways with Klutch Sports, which is the agency they represent. Yes. And I think that's the bigger threat. Because he can't say what I'm about to say he was actually saying out loud, or there are actual problems the NBA probably has to react. But the message isn't just Australia. It's, if you draft this kid, you are dead to us, and the clients you have or want will be problematic for you. That's an organizational issue. But also, GMs get fired. And when GMs get fired, their way back into the league is to basically become an assistant GM or a scout or be some sort of advisor with another organization. And if you're a GM today who drafts Bronny and you're fired, and this happens 3 or 4 years from now, and you are persona non grata to Klutch Sports, you're not getting back in the NBA. So I have a problem with it. Ash, I'm with you. I'm great, happy for the James fan. Two things can be true at once. LeBron James is going to use all of his power. He wants to play with his kid. People in this world take what they're able to take. Good for them. But I think bad for the NBA that LeBron James, an active player, is able to have basically the agency he created through his friend dictate to teams with real threats who they can and cannot take in the NBA draft.
That's kind of why I wanted the Celtics to do it, because in addition to it being hilarious, last time I checked, they don't have many Klutch clients anyway. But you're right, Bill. I mean, it was a not so veiled threat that if you do this, you're going to have a serious problem with Klutch Sports moving forward. To Ashley's point about the whole nepotism thing, look, they want to play together. LeBron's been setting this up for a while. LeBron gets what he wants. I think he's probably earned the right to play with his kid if that's his desire, and that obviously is his desire. And it's not like this doesn't exist in the NBA. Thanasis Antetokounmpo should not be in the NBA. He was barely in the Greek League. He made the Greek League All-Stars with Panathinaikos. But when Rick Pitino was the head coach, he kind of like eye-rolled about that, like just being a last name thing. Also, Brian Colangelo, if it wasn't for Jerry Colangelo, Brian Colangelo, who's now, I believe, in Australia, ironically enough, he wouldn't have been in there either. Somebody mentioned to me, though, skill-wise, that this is sort of like a Ken Griffey Jr. teaming up with Ken Griffey Sr. situation, only in terms of talent, Bronny is kind of the elder guy. He's kind of like the 42-year-old dad because he's not as good. Ashley's kind of laughing about this, but I don't know that he's very good, and I'm a little worried about the situation.
He's not good enough.
So here's the thing, right? we've had this conversation before. I know we disagree in terms of like how we feel about nepotism. I personally don't have an issue with it to a degree, and I will say why. I think that nepotism is a system that has existed in this country for decades, and it's how some of the richest families in the world stay rich. I'm a Cowboys fan. The entire front office is, you know, made up of Joneses. And when Jerry Jones is no longer the owner, his son will step into. Exactly. But look, here's the thing. Nepotism exists, and it's how people keep opportunities and wealth within their particular family. So I'm not mad at LeBron James for taking a system, putting himself in the situation to take advantage of a system that has been in place way before he even stepped into the NBA. He utilized the system, and he's utilizing that to help his son not only live out his dream, but also to keep the James family in the NBA. Not mad at it. Now, here's where it gets sticky, right? You have one or two options. Bronny has one or two options in this scenario, and this is where people have, you know, sour feelings about nepotism, is you had the opportunity to wash all of that away if you go out there and you ball out, right? LeBron's not going to score points for you. He's not going to play defense for you. He's not going to go ahead and assist the ball for you and all that. That's on you. If Bronny goes out there and turns out to be a lot better than what people have seen so far, and he gets drastically better, then all that nepotism stuff goes out of the way because he's put the work in, and now he's a player in his own right. And yes, people will continue to say, well, he only got into the league, you know, because of his dad and because of his last name. Fair, but that's not what's going to keep him in the league once LeBron is retired, especially if he puts in the work. Now, if that's not the case, and he ends up staying the player that we have seen thus far, that's not necessarily NBA ready, then that nepotism thing becomes the only thing that surrounds Bronny. There are actors who come from famous families who go on to have illustrious, lucrative careers, Oscar-winning careers in their own right. And yeah, you remember that they have a famous dad or a famous mom, but you also remember their skill set as an individual. So I think that two things can be true. Nepotism can get you places, but the only time it becomes problematic is when you don't have a skill set that allows you or shows that you're deserving of to stay in the position that you have been given because of who you know or who you come from.
I mean, for every Michael Douglas, there's a Baldwin brother, right? So
look at Jamie Lee Curtis.
Can get you. I mean, but here's the worry that I have for Bronny. Like, let's make this about Bronny. Sports is the ultimate meritocracy. You can hide as a Nepo kid in a lot of businesses, including, frankly, in the business that we're in. In most businesses, there's a lot of jobs. There's not as much scrutiny. Things are subjective, including art, like film. Not true in sports. If Bronny James isn't good enough, his entire career will be the kid who got drafted who should not have gotten drafted. And so my hope, and I think it's far-fetched, and I'm with you. I mean, look, I think I don't think what LeBron did is wrong, but I don't think it's right if you're everybody else. We sort of operate in the best interest of the people we love. That doesn't always make it okay. I understand why LeBron did what he did. He's now got to, I think, for Bronny to succeed, do the hardest thing he's ever done in his career, and that is back off, cede power, and get out of the way. Because maybe the Lakers have a really good plan, but you've got LeBron's handpicked coach, who is his podcast partner, who just got hired, who's basically in charge of developing this young player. What happens if LeBron thinks that Bronny needs less time in the G League than Rob Pelinka? What if LeBron, and he hasn't always been rational on his son. See his tweet from a year ago where he tweeted, remember, like, these guys, these league pass losers aren't as good as my kid. What if LeBron wants Bronny getting any minutes or more minutes than JJ Redick wants? What if whatever developmental plan the Lakers come up with, guys, is vastly different than what LeBron thinks? I know LeBron's a genius, and I know LeBron loves his son. He has been a pretty bad shadow GM. I mean, his brilliance, this happens to all-time greats, doesn't always translate to being able to sort of make the right decision. So I'm with you, Ashon. I'm not mad at the James family. I'm very worried that Bronny will fail because this is going to be measured in a real way that you can't hide when you get out on the court. And if LeBron doesn't let him have some ups and downs, be developed by this Lakers organization LeBron wanted to be a part of, if LeBron is helicopter parenting from hell, I don't think that's going to end well for Bronny.
Yeah, I think skill set wise, Bronny's going to have to work on his game for sure. But everything that you just mentioned, Bill, about like LeBron wanted this situation, but it's not necessarily going to be a clean situation. It could be really sticky for all the reasons you outlined, where all of a sudden, yeah, like if he wants to get some more minutes for his kid, what happens there if there's pushback between Pelinka or JJ Redick? I mean, you're setting yourself up and your kid for some significant tension. I will say this, though. It's going to be really great content for us. Summer League is going to be bananas for Bronny James. Like, that's going to be an absolute circus.
if he plays.
Why wouldn't he play?
Oh, he'll play.
He doesn't have to play.
He'll
It's
play.
not
Why
like it's
wouldn't he play?
required. It's not required. Remember, there was
No,
a whole
of course.
conversation of whether or not Wemby was going to play in summer league. He ended up playing.
He'll get the
but
minutes, I think. I think here's the
I'd be
bigger
shocked
question
if
is
he
for
doesn't
me.
play.
Listen, to your point, it would be of his benefit to play, right? But listen, I had a conversation with a few guys upstairs in the newsroom, and they were split, right? Some people were saying, well, he's not NBA ready. Going out there and playing will just remind everyone just how not NBA ready you are. So that's one side of the argument. But the other side is like he can go out there.
Summer league. If you don't play in summer league after getting drafted, that's going to be like a narrative that nobody will let go. That'll be a bone in everybody's face.
But couldn't you see LeBron, to Ash's point, what if LeBron's like, I don't want him playing all the summer league games, A, B, and C, and Pelinka goes, LeBron, big guy,
because it's not required. Like he should play.
He's got to play every minute.
But if he doesn't, it's not like he's committing some sort of like, sin. Like he doesn't have to play, just like he didn't have to. I mean, yeah, but we're talking about the same draftee who was refusing workouts with every team but the Suns and the Lakers. The rules don't apply to him, and they've already showcased that they're going to go ahead and navigate this entire process the way that they want to and not the way that it's traditionally done. So yes, he should play. I would not be surprised if there was a situation or a world in which he doesn't play. That's all I'm saying. It would not shock me.
I'd be floored. I'd be floored. You can't take the kid in and not play him. So what? You're just not going to play a basketball player? That doesn't make any sense to me. That would just create a narrative that I don't think that they'd be willing to go. That's a road that they would not be willing to go down. I don't think, because you're inviting so much scrutiny.
If you get 2 or 3 really, or like, because they're going to be in Sacramento first and then in Vegas. If you get like a string of great Bronny games, you should play him. But you might just Costanza this thing and be like, I'm out, just leave it on a high note.
Oh,
He'll play all the minutes.
The only last thing I'll say here, and then we're going to go to break. If he doesn't pan out, he's the 55th pick in the draft. That happens all the time. The only problem is that his last name is James, so he's going to get scrutinized more than another kid who got picked at 55 and didn't pan out would otherwise. But, that's what happens when you're LeBron's son.
I don't think it's the only thing, though. I'm going to put this on LeBron. He didn't have to be the 55th pick. What really happens is you squander what could have been an NBA career, because had he gone to college for 1 or 2 more years, he might have been a first-round pick. And I mean, you're right in terms of the pick, but I still think they're jeopardizing. If he doesn't work out, they have jeopardized a career that I think had more promise if it had more time in college.
Judging by the conversation that we just had, I think this is probably the last time we'll even talk about Bronny. So he'll just go off and live his life, and it'll be fine. All right, now we are going to take a break, and then on the other side, we're going to get into free agency in the offseason. It's heating up. Very exciting. Bill's going to run us through his top 5 trade targets. On the other side, you're watching Beyond the Arc, and this is CBS Sports Network.